Welcome back to Boomer's Playground. And today I want us to build kind of a smaller project or app, or you can call it kind of whatever you want. The thing that I want to do is I want to build us what seems like a basic project, but the implementation, it's not hard, but you really have to kind of stop and think about it. And so I'm pretty sure this is one of the first projects I built on my own with JavaScript. And when I explain it to you guys, you're going to be like, oh, you idiot. That was super easy. But when you really think about what you have to do, it's really not as easy as it seems. And that's why I like this project is, a lot of people think that first project after they finish a course or a boot camp or whatever needs to be this huge, monolithic, competing against Facebook and Amazon and blah. And it's like, no, you want to start small with most of your projects. These are projects that you're probably not going to show anybody unless you're on maybe a Discord or you have some developer friends where you're like, hey, could you look over my code? But this likely won't be on your portfolio. It 100% can if you do it right. But that's kind of the point I'm trying to prove here is that you can build what I call quote unquote dumb and stupid projects to get the practice, and that's okay. They don't all have to be production ready, trying to sell to a VC funded, blah, blah, blah. That's not what's required when you finish a course. So the thing that I want to build is we're going to private mode. And so I'm a huge, racing fan. I like cars. I like motorcycles. I like things that go fast. And so when you go to a drag strip, there's a thing called a Christmas tree. And all this thing does is it's usually two people, one on each side of this tree in their own lane. And what happens is it goes, the first yellow lights light up, and then an undetermined amount of time, the second set of lights of the yellow lights turn on, and then again, another unset amount of time, the last yellow lights illuminate, and then again, an unknown amount of time, the green will illuminate, and that's when you can go. And so these red ones at the bottom, this is if you maybe go before the green is actually illuminated. You're trying to kind of get a jump up on the person you're racing. And so what I want to do is we'll start simple and we'll just start with one yellow, but we will eventually get to this. But what I want to do is I want to show yellow, again, an undetermined amount of time, some random number, and then I want the green to go. And what I want to happen is I want us to have some sort of way for the user to hit the space bar, or you can, whatever key you want them to hit. And I want us to give them their reaction time back. So a lot of times these drag strips are on quarter-mile lengths. And so what will happen is when you're done racing, there's this little box, and they'll have this little teeny receipt that will show what your total time was, and they'll show what your reaction time was. And the reaction time is from when it turns yellow to green, the distance from that to when you press the gas pedal, or for us, it'll be the space bar or whatever you want to decide. And so what I want to do is I want to show them their reaction time between those two moments, or, let's say they jump the gun. We'll show the red and we'll say you're disqualified and you lose the race. So again, you guys are probably, if you're watching this, you're probably thinking okay, you idiot, that's super easy. But when we really get into the mechanics of it, you've really got to think about it, and you kind of have to have a pretty good understanding of JavaScript, which is why I really like this as a beginner project, because one, when you look at the project, it doesn't seem like it's going to take a lot of time. And so a lot of people will buy into that then. If I told them hey, go build me a car part, e-commerce store, no beginner is going to want to do that. That's way too big. So I like the level of basicness that this has, but there's still a good chunk of thinking that needs to be done to accomplish this task. So that's what I want to do today is let's build this. And again, I did build this myself. This was probably back in 2014, 2015. At that time, I didn't know about Git, or if I did, I did not have any idea how to use it. So I do think this is still going to be as if I'm building it the first time. So I think this will be a good representation of what seems like a basic idea, and you're seeing a quote unquote seasoned developer build it. So you guys can see that like we all struggle. So enough jibber jabber. Let's jump into it. That's not what I wanted. We'll do this. And let's do workshop, mentor, and then we'll make a directory for drag, strip. We'll jump in here. Drag, if I can type today. All right, we have that. So let's open our editor. All right, and we'll have a index.html. We'll have a style.css, and we'll have a app.js. And so those would be the three things that we need. So for starters, we'll just do some stupid, boilerplate HTML. No need to remember this or memorize it or type it every single time. Drag strip reaction timer. And then we have our CSS there. And then we'll do our JavaScript down here. This is just habit for me because I kind of started programming before a lot of newer stuff. So I always just put it at the end of the body, but you can now do why is this not? Why is tab not working? All right, well, whatever. So what you can do is you can either add defer or you can add async. I honestly haven't looked into what the difference between these two things is. So if you know, feel free to share it in the comments because I'd be curious. But again, I've programmed for quote unquote long enough that this is just my habit of putting it at the bottom of the body because async and defer weren't around. And or I just always was using a framework. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go old school. And we have our script tag there. We have that in. Let's save that. And let's see, what else do we need? Okay, so I think that's good. So what I want to do is I want to build this. We'll just do it in traditional HTML. I know in a lot of my other videos, I always harp on like, oh, hey, let's build it with JavaScript. And I think in a lot of instances, that's the right choice. But in this one, this is so basic. But if you're building something else, I feel like using JavaScript to draw the initial HTML is a great practice just so you use JavaScript more. HTML is highly Googleable. I know there are like many, many crazy complex things you can do with HTML, but they just don't happen that much. And I feel like you focusing on JavaScript is going to be a better use of your time. So I'm just going to do a simple, div. We'll just do our traditional container class. And then we'll throw in div class, and we'll do circle, and we'll do the color of what we want. And the reason we're doing this is we're going to have three, well, we'll end up having more, but at the beginning, we're going to have three circles. We're all going to want them to be the same size and shape, but we're not going to want them to be the same color. So that's why I have that circle class, and then I'm adding a second class, which will be the color of, whatever it is. So, all right, cool. So we have that. Let's see, I think we can do. So if you have Python installed on your computer, you can do. Oh, that is right. Cool. So you can do this from any folder that has an index.html file. And as long as it's not server-side rendered, which ours isn't, it's just, your standard front-end boilerplate, you can run this, and this will build a server for us. And then we can just go to localhost, and we'll do 8,000. And obviously we don't have anything here because we have our HTML, but we haven't given it any styling. So let's grab it some styling. And like I said, we'll do a circle, and let's make them 200. Oh, do width 200 pixels. We'll do height of 200 pixels, and we'll do border radius of, I think it's 50%. We'll have to look at this. This will make it a circle. Oh, that must not be the right. Well, let's see what we get here. Oh. So refresh it. Yeah, we still get anything. So let's do border radius CSS. All right, so I did get it right. Oh, I misspelled it. You guys are probably yelling at me, right? All right, so we have our container. We have our circles. Why are they not? Oh, you know what? I don't have any background color for them. Oh, no. What? Circle. Let's see. We have circle there. We have circle there. The width. We got the border radius. And let's just do a let's do a border color of black. That maybe will give us our circles. All right. So nothing is being applied. So our CSS is wrong somewhere. Oh, all right. So this is saying the path is the folder of CSS and then style.css within the folder of CSS. So we just have it in our same folder. So we need to do that. And you'll see we have some stuff here. I'm not sure why. Oh, I think we have to do border. Border color is going to be, you have to give it the size, the type that it is, and then the color. Bless me. Oh, and actually, yep, if we're going to do that, we just do border. There we go. Okay, cool. Okay, so those are a little big. Well, I mean, I guess it depends on your screen. I'm on a little 13-inch MacBook Air. So let's check this out. All right, we're good there. And then let's just center it. And this is something I know because I just use Flexbox a lot. But, you know, if you were like, oh my gosh, how did he just remember that? It's because I've probably applied this CSS to thousands of elements. So you will eventually remember this stuff, but the goal is not to memorize it. So don't get caught up if you're like, oh man, I didn't know that was how you did it. Like, it doesn't matter. Who cares? You could have easily Googled this. Like, I bet if we do center div flexbox, center div vertically and horizontally flexbox, you know what's going to be the first? Okay, well, it's a little more in depth. But the whole point is you could have easily Googled this and you would have ended up finding the same information. Again, if you don't know this, don't worry. It's not a huge deal. These are things that you'll just remember as you use them thousands and thousands and thousands of times. All right, and I broke it there. So we have display flex. We want flex direction to be column. Okay, there we go. So it's still not centered, but display flex is going to make it kind of left to right. So let's, I know this isn't supposed to be like a flex tutorial, but if we do display flex, they're going to go left to right as far as they need, and then they'll wrap when they run out of room. And then we change it to flex direction column, which will then make them up and down. And then we can do justify content center, which that'll put it left to right or not. Oh, already. Okay, I know what the problem is. Okay, so it is trying to apply them left to right, but when you do a display flex, it only takes up the space that is available or that it needs. So we want to go a little bigger than that. So what we can do is we can do width of 1,000 pixels and we can do height of 1,000 pixels. And then you'll see that we get, well, some of it at least. I wonder if it's a line item. Oh, no, what is it? Crap. line. This is like the holy grail of Flexbox documentation for me. Like, I keep this open all the time. All right, so we got the document. We don't care about the wrap. We don't care about the flow. All right, justify content. We want center. And then align items. We want center. Oh, why don't you guys stop me when you see me making these typos? It's align items, not align. All right, so we got that. And okay, cool. So it's not quite centered because, you know, I didn't take into consideration the actual screen size, but I'm just trying to prove the point here that when you don't have a dedicated width or height from the element or even, you know, the parent container, it will just take up only the space it needs. So, all right, cool. So we have them aligned here. So now we want them to be different colors. So let's just do yellow, and we'll copy that, and we'll do green, and we'll do red, and then let's go to let's do a CSS color picker, because what's going to happen is I want the colors to be dull until they're like quote unquote illuminated, and then we want them to be a little brighter. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to use opacity to do that. So let's just grab a nice yellow, and actually we could probably just do we just do background of yellow. And you could do background color and get the same result, but I'm just lazy, and if I don't have to type the extra letters, I'm not going to type the extra letters. All right, so that one. So let's do a opacity of 50%, and this should be 50%. Yeah, so you can see how it's kind of like a little hazier now. And then we can do the same. And then we'll just change colors in a second here. And we'll do red. We'll do green. Okay, and so we have some kind of, you know, they don't look like they're illuminated, right? So we kind of have our whole thing here. I'm actually going to do... Let's add a start button, and we'll just do start. Here we'll do button, and we're doing this mainly because we want to have something that we can start this countdown with. And we'll do start button. We'll do start the race. Let's see what we get here. All right, so we get our traditional or our standard little button situation, and we'll do start button. And then again, we can just do display flex. Justify content will be center because that's going to be the left and right. Yeah, Flexbox is freaking sweet. I know CSS Grid 2 is as well, but I just don't know enough about it. All right, and let's just throw this down here so they're within the same container so they kind of line up better. All right, and then we can do, you know, we'll just do margin. Because what is this? Top right, bottom left, so it'll be 20 pixels top and left, or top and bottom, and then 0 pixels left and right. So if you only do 2, it'll be top, bottom, left, right. And then if you only did 1, it would be all of them, or you could, we could specifically do, you know, do it this way. But like I said earlier, you know, the less amount of keystrokes I can do, the better. So we'll do 20 pixels and 0 pixels. And again, this is just like kind of make it a little prettier. All right, cool. So we kind of have the HTML laid out. the next thing that I want to do is, let's just see if we can get the colors of the circles to change. So, all right, so let's do this. So we'll do, let's just grab the button, query selector, and we'll do a class of start button, and then start button dot add event listener, and we'll listen for a click. And then what this is going to do is, trying to think. Well, actually, we could probably grab the circles too. So let's do yellow circle. We could do green circle. We could do red circle, and then all we have to do is just change these to be yellow. And we'll do green, and then we'll do red. And then here, oh, what did I just do there? All right. And then here, let's just change their opacity to 1 and see if this even works. So we'll do yellow circle dot style dot opacity equals 1, and then we can just change it to green circle, and then we can just do red circle. Let's see if this works. Okay, cool. So that looks like it works. We're starting off kind of opaque, and then we do the start there. So I think that's a good start. Okay, cool. So we have that in place. Let's see, what are we at here? We're at 22 minutes. Holy crap. All right. So that's going to be the first start. I'm going to stop it there. I'm going to use a bathroom. This will be step 1 of this project, and then I'll re-record right after this, and we'll do step 2, which will, or step 2, which will be kind of implementing the variable timed illuminating of the circle. So I know this one was pretty blah. You probably didn't learn a whole lot, but this is just going to be the first start to that. And if you guys liked it, or if you guys have questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in step 2 of this video. Peace. Welcome back to Boomer's Playground. And today we're going to be doing step 2 of the drag light reaction timer project that I wanted to show you guys. So I think something that's kind of interesting is, I know I was kind of teaching along the way on that first video, but look how basic of a setup this is. And that video was 22 minutes long, pretty much. So let's take out, 3, maybe 5 minutes for teaching. That's probably even high. So we're still sitting at, almost 20 minutes to build this basic little thing. And I only bring that up because, when I was still on the Colt Steel Discord, but like on, Reddit or Stack Overflow, or even the couple smaller Discords that I'm a part of now, people will come in and they'll be like, oh my God, man, like I searched and tried for 30 minutes. And I know that may seem like an eternity when you're first starting, but when you get to the job, like there have been, half days to multiple days for me solving one problem. So don't think just because you couldn't get it in, 15 or 30 or whatever time you've made up in your mind, which would be too much. The stuff just takes a long time, and that's okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And that's the only reason I brought that up. So, okay, so back to the little video we have here. Or sorry, not the video, but the project. We've got our things here. We click start. They all illuminate at the same time. All right. That's a good start, but that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to illuminate them in a random order, or a random amount of time. We don't want to just do like 1 second, because then as people do it, they may catch on to that and they kind of cheat a little bit and, try and time it just perfectly where they hit the spacebar to get a better reaction time. We want the times that these illuminate at to be relatively random or relatively arbitrary. So, we have, oh, what the heck? There we go. So we have this, on the start click, we're just immediately turning them all to, full opacity. So we don't want that. So what do we really want to do? Well, let's see if we can find a quick Google search here. If I can get to the right tab. Run something after a random amount of time, JS. And it's a random number. All right, let's see what these look like. All right, so set timeout and set interval. Set timeout allows us to run a function once after the interval of time. That sounds promising. Set interval allows us to run a function repeatedly starting after the interval of time. So we do want to run a couple different functions, but we don't want to repeatedly do it. We really only have 3, and we really only have 2. We only want to do the red one if somebody was like too quick on the gun. So I think set timeout is going to be our best option. So let's do set timeout JS, and we'll do MDN. Again, I said this many times, I prefer you guys to start with MDN. And then if that doesn't make a whole lot of sense or you're having trouble understanding it, which again is perfectly fine, the MDN docs are awesome, but they were written by developers or by engineers, so it may not be super user-friendly at the beginning. But please start there. And then if you're going through it and you're just like, this makes no sense to me, then go ahead and go to W3 Schools. They tend to be a little more user-friendly. Go here, look, oh, piece of cake, and then go back to MDN and try and figure out where the disconnect was, because when you start building bigger projects and bigger apps, the extra information that you get from MDN is so helpful, but you won't know that until you get further into the path. So please try and do that stuff. But for this instance, we can just stick with W3 Schools. And so this says wait 5 seconds for the greeting. All right, so let's see. My greeting, well, I guess we don't know what my greeting is. All right. Oh, so that's just a function. Okay, cool. All right, so let's try this. So we know we have the set timeout. We know we have a function, and then we give it the time. So I don't necessarily want to build my own function per se. So if we do set timeout, it wants a function, so we can give it that. And what do we want to do? Let's just do console log what is up, and let's wait for 2 seconds, just so it's long enough for us to kind of see that it didn't run right away. But not too long that, you guys are sitting here for 50 freaking minutes watching the video. All right, cool. So don't worry about that. That's just, I don't have a favicon, which is the little icon right there, so who cares? All right, so ideally what will happen is we'll click this start the race button, and in 2 seconds we'll get a console log. So let's see if that's what happens. Okay, I would say that was about 2 seconds. The one thing with set timeout is you can give it this 2 seconds, and if it's available to run at that time, it will. But one caveat to this is there's a thing called the heap and the stack. And if something is in the way of this running, it could take longer than 2 seconds. So just kind of keep that in mind. Set timeout usually isn't the best idea for something that is time related, but that's a whole nother story. This did what we wanted it to do. So let's actually do this. So we had, what did we have? We had style.opacity equals 1. So if we do this, we click the button, that should feasibly turn the yellow light or the yellow circle to look like it's on after 2 seconds. So let's see if that works. Okay, and it didn't. So let's see what we did wrong. Yellow is not defined, and that's because it's yellow circle, not yellow. So let's try this again. Okay, cool. So I don't know, I'm not sure the quality of the screen that you guys are using, but let's actually do, Let's do 20. Let's just make it like super obvious. Okay, so now they're like very, very opaque, and then... Okay, I think that's a little better. That's a little more striking. You can clearly tell that happened. So, okay, awesome. So we have that, but again, this is a set amount of time. We don't want that. We want something random. So I guess another thing I probably should have said, if you read through the docs, that the number at the end here is in milliseconds. And so that's why 2000 led to being 2 seconds, because that's 2000 milliseconds. All right. Okay, so we kind of have that in place, and we can, we can really do this with all of them. Again, this isn't going to be super helpful because we want this to be random between the bunch of them, but let's just make sure it works. That's another thing I see a lot of people do is they'll build these huge implementations and wait till the end to try it. Like, I try stuff so in like such small quantities to make sure I'm on the right path. That way when it breaks, I have a smaller window that I know, like, okay, I touched 3 things. I can look at those 3 things to figure out what I broke, opposed to I touched all 1,000 files, which one happened. So that's just me. Do whatever you want to do, but okay, cool. So again, it's working how we kind of want, but we don't want them to run at the same time. So let's see here. All right, what can we do? So let's figure out how to get a random time. Get random time in JS. I don't want a date. I just want, all right. All right, so we get math.random. So this will give us a number between 0 and 10. This will give us a number between 0 and 100. And one thing that it's not specifically stating is it's between 0 and 100, but it will never be this top number because math.random gives you a number from 0 to right up to the number 1, but will never give you the number 1. So in this instance here, they add 1 at the end so that they will get 1 up to 10. So this is a little confusing for some people, and if you guys want more clarification, leave comments in the comment section below. But this is something you'll do a lot, and it's just something you just kind of get used to. So I think we do want a number from 1 up to another time frame, but I actually want it to be 1 second, not just 1, because 1 will be 1 millisecond. So if we do 1 here, as soon as I hit this start button, these things are going to turn. So I really want something between, what do we want to do? We'll do 1 and 3 seconds just to kind of, shake it up a little bit. So what we could just do it. Oh, what did I just do? We could just do it right in here and do, we do math.floor, and then we could do math.random times, what do we say, 3? So we'll do 3,000, or no, we'll do, yeah. And then we'll do plus 1,000. And this way we're starting at 1 second, so we can go anywhere from 1 second to 3 seconds. And so we'll see here, we'll just wait. And that was a random time. 1, 2, 3. All right, that was a random time. 1, 2, 3. Oh, maybe it's not a random time. So I'm at that floor times that plus 1,000. I wonder if we should do, I don't think this is doing what I want it to do. So let's get the random time. We'll do random time, and let's do math.floor, we'll do math.random, And let's just do 3 plus the 1. And so that feasibly should give us 1 up to 3. So let's find out. 3, 3, 2, 1. Okay, cool. So we do get 1, 2, 3. So that is what we want. And then let's times that by 1,000. So now we're going to get, ideally, 1,000 to 3,000. And actually, oh no, yeah, because it'll be, oh, that's my bad. All right, so we're going to do this. All right, cool. So there we get 2,000, we get 2,000, we get 1,000, we get 2,000, we get 1,000, and 3,000. Cool. So we do get them all. This is fine. It's 1, 2, or 3 seconds, which is okay. But you might want to do like maybe not do the floor aspect, and then that way we'll get kind of these times in between full seconds. So if we do, so if you just do math.random times 3, we're always going to get like some crazy decimal point. And so ideally what we could do is, if we didn't want to have just like full seconds, we could do times 1,000, and now we're going to get 2.5 seconds. And actually maybe that's a better way to go about this. Let's get rid of the floor. And then this way we're going to get a little more, we'll get anything from 1 second up to 3 seconds, but it could be any iteration, 2.24 seconds or 2.75 or kind of these random times. And so let's do that. And then we can do is let's just make sure we're getting different random stuff. And then what we'll do is we'll just call random time here. Again, it looks like I'm getting an error missing on line 7. Was that 7? Yeah, line 7. All right, so we got that. So math.random. Oh, I have some weird. All right, so we're going to const random time. When something's that small, I will oftentimes just get rid of it instead of trying to like figure out, oh, where was my thing broken? Or which paren was I missing? Times 3 times 1,000. And I actually think because this is the order of operations, we should still be fine. We don't need any extra parens. Let's get rid of this guy. All right. Okay, did you see how quick that went? Because it was only half of a second. And that was a lot longer because that was 2.2 seconds. So I think I like that a little better because it's a pretty, there's like almost an endless amount of times that we could possibly have to do these things. So let's do that. And I'm trying to think of the best way to implement this. And I'm really thinking, because we don't want to set. All right, so that cut in the video is because I'm watching my buddy's dogs and they just went nuts because somebody drove by the street because they're dogs. So, all right, so back to this. So we're at a point now, we're getting random times for those things to illuminate. But now the problem is we don't want to start the timer on the green one until the yellow one's done. So what I'm thinking is let's create some functions to kind of control those. That way we can call the function of start green timer at the end of when the yellow timer is done. So Let's do this. So we have that, and let's do, we'll do start yellow timer, and we're not going to need any parameters or arguments for this stuff. All right, so from here, so we can kind of steal this. And when we click the button, we can call start yellow timer, which is awesome. And then in here, we'll do this. And so what will happen now is we're going to create some random amount of time between pretty much 0 and almost 3 seconds. And then we're going to do a set timeout, which that just says, hey, do this after this amount of time. So what we could really do is we could do this and then do start the green timer, because now this code is only going to run after this amount of time, which is kind of exactly what we want. So we can kind of steal that, and then we'll do const start green timer. And I'm not sure if we're going to get an error for this being underneath it, but let's find out. And then we can really just do the same thing. And so let's see, const red time, or random time, sorry. And then here we'll make it green. And then here we won't really do anything there. But let's see what we get. Let's see if this thing errors on us or not. Oh, how many yellow timers do I have? Oh my gosh, sorry guys. Oh, because I did. Oh yeah, sorry, that's my bad. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but I had the start yellow timer, and I did the start yellow timer there when it really should have been start yellow timer. And that's it. This is just because this is in the button click. All right. And actually, let's do this. I want to do, I'm a big console log fan. This is the easiest way. I know there are other ways. There's the debugger tool. This is just what works for me. And so here we'll do out. I'll do yellow out, and that will just let me know that we're outside of the timer. Here we'll do yellow in, and then I'll just do the same exact things here. I'll do green out, and we'll do. And again, this is just to make sure that every step of this is running kind of how we want it to. So, okay, so we got yellow out, yellow in. And then I know it's kind of tough because you're watching the console, but you're also watching these up here. But they coincided when this turned on, we got the yellow in, and then same with that green. Okay, cool. So I think we're in a pretty good spot here. We still have a little bit of implementation to consider, but I think this is a good start. We now know how to pseudo-randomly generate that circle or that light kind of illuminating. And this is a great next step into this project. And so I think I'm going to cut it off here. And then I think the next step, we're in a spot where we can kind of figure the rest of it out. And this is where it'll kind of get tricky because we have to keep track of when we stop or when the green illuminates and when the person clicks the button. So I think that'll be the next fun part. Again, as always, questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Welcome back to Boomer's Playground, and this will be part 3 of the drag strip reaction timer project that we've been building. So at the current moment, we have our lights. They're not lit up. We click the start button. We have a arbitrary amount of time for the yellow to illuminate, and then we have an arbitrary amount of time for the green to illuminate from 0 to pretty much 3 seconds. And I think that's working well. So I think we're in a good spot there. So now the point is going to be, how do we decide how long it took the person from when the green was illuminated to when they clicked the button? So I'm trying to think of the best way we want to do this. So we have the start yellow timer. We don't really need anything there. We have the start green timer, which is kind of where we want to do some stuff. But we don't want to start counting down until this green circle has been illuminated. So how can we do that? So let's do this. Let's go to Google per usual, and let's figure out find time between 2 times JavaScript. And I know that might not be super helpful, but 2 times that are in 24-hour format, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we have a new date. Let's see. What does the answers say? Okay, so they're using new date as well. So let's see what this date is about. So we'll do date in JS. And here we can read all this. I'm familiar with it, but you know, you're looking and you can call date and it will give you a time in milliseconds from January 1st, 1970, also called the epoch time. This is what almost every programming language uses when you use something like a time or a date function built into the language. So let's see, we'll do date, we do new. But we don't really want to give it a date because we don't know when this is going to be played. So new date, that was what everybody was using. Ugh. All right, you know what? Let's just see what we get here. All right. So let's just do new date. Okay, we get that. It's not really what we want though. Let's see. Time in JS. Date, yeah, that was the same one we were just on. Date.now. The date.now method returns the number of milliseconds. Oh, so I was mistaken, sorry. So new.date will give you the actual date that it is right now at this exact time. Okay, so that was my bad. All right, well, let's see what we get now. We'll do date.now. Okay, so we get that really long number, and then if you look, it's been incremented a little bit because it is, again, in milliseconds. So a lot of times people will use this as a way to identify if something was run on the exact same time, because the chances of you running it on the exact same millisecond are so ridiculously minuscule that this is a pretty safe way at the beginning. There are better ways as you move on, but this is a good starting point. So I think that's a good spot there. So let's actually... So I'm just thinking ahead a little bit here. So we're going to want to take a time from when the green light was illuminated. And then we want to take the time when the person clicks a button, and we want to see the difference between them, right? So let's see if we can even do that. So we'll do const a equals, we'll do date.now, and then a is that, and a is always going to be that because we set it to a variable. And so now let's do const b, and we'll do date.now as well. And then b, again, is the same thing, but it is a different number. So let's assume that a is when the green light was illuminated. And let's assume b is when the person clicks the spacebar or whatever key you decided that person should use. So if we just do b minus a, what do we get? Okay, we get something like that, which is fine. We're just like, oh, what the heck? And then what we could really do is we just do b minus a. Oh, did I already see somewhere? All right, let's just do d. It's b minus... oh my gosh. We got b minus a. And then d is going to be that. And then we can do d times 1,000. Oh, no, shoot. D minus 1,000. And then that was about 8 seconds between when we ran A versus when we ran B. So I wasn't really keeping track, so I'm honest to God not 100% sure if that's accurate. So let's do something that we know will work. So let's do this. So let's do a function, right? So we'll do function, test this. And the other reason I'm doing this is because I want to have controlled times. So we can do const a. will equal date.now. And then I want to do a set timeout. And again, because remember, set timeout is going to wait a certain amount of time before it runs something. And let's just do let be. Well, actually, we don't even need that. And then in here, let's run date.now. And then what we can do is we can run this after, we'll just say 3 seconds. And let's do b minus a divided by 1,000. And I'm putting these in parens because the, why can I not think of it? The priority is the order of operations. So it's division, multiplication, and then addition, subtraction. So in America, in the area I came from, we did PEMDAS, which is PEMDAS, and they run in that order. They run parens, exponent, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, with the PE being the same, the MD being the same, and the SA being the same. So if it's one of those two that are the same, it's whichever one's first. So by doing this paren, we're saying, hey, run this first and then divide by 1,000. Because if we didn't do this, what it would do is it would divide A by 1,000, and then it would take B minus whatever that was. And that's not what we want. But hopefully what we see here is we'll see a 3-second or close to 3-second difference. And then we can call test this. Oh, wow. I misspelled timeout like gangbusters, guys. All right, so set. I don't even remember now. Yeah, because it is all small. So set timeout. Okay, so now we should be fine. Why did that not work? Hold on. Oh, okay, perfect. Oh, well, because I'm an idiot and I forgot that it was going to take 3 seconds to run that. All right, so we have this, and then we're going to test this. We wait, and if you're a moron like me, you're like, oh man, what happened? And you'll see that it took about 3 seconds for those things to run. So now again, like I said, when you use set timeout, it's like really, really, really close, but there are instances when it's not going to be exact. But I would say 3 seconds with, what is that, 5/1000ths of a second? I'd say that's pretty accurate, and that's fair enough for this basic application that we're going to make. So I think we kind of have we have what we need in place. So let's do this. And all right, how do we want to implement this? So I'm just going to put this code. Sorry, guys. All right, well, I don't know why that didn't copy, but all right, so we have the basic idea, right? So we have, time when green, and actually, yeah, let's start coding this out, guys. So I could keep them all in the start green timer, but I don't, let's just go basic and then maybe we can implement later. So I don't like doing this a whole lot, but we'll do let start time after green is lit, and we'll keep it as nothing. And then here we'll say time. Actually, we'll do time when green is lit, time after green is lit. And so this will be when the green light is illuminated, and then this will be once the person uses that. So we might have to play around with this. I'm not sure the distance of putting it before or after the opacity, but we can play around and see what happens. And so here we can do time when green is lit will be date.now. And then what we can do is, I'm thinking, so we care about us. Let's see what we got here. So we care about a key press. Okay, so this is no longer recommended, though some browsers might still support it, blah, blah, blah. Usually it tells us what it wants us to use. Oh yeah, cool. Okay, key down. Okay, so we do key down, and then we do the event, and then we'll get the key code. So, all right. All right, so we want key down, we'll get an event, and let's see what the key code is. All right, so let's do, we'll just do document.add event listener. So when you do document.add event listener, it's literally just putting an add event listener on the entire window. So anytime somebody types a key, this thing will fire. So we set key down, we get an event. Again, I'm super lazy, and let's do this. So we'll do console.log, and let's see what E is. All right. Well, here, the cool thing about it is we can just, this event listener has nothing to do with these functions being called, so we can just call it before we even run the timers. And then I forgot to, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but here I had E with nothing, and that was only because I had only console logged E and I did not log the event itself. So, all right, so we're on the page, we do E, and we have all of this stuff. So we have a code of the string of space. I'm not sure if this is new or not, but I don't feel like when I was, I don't know. I feel like I don't remember that being a thing when I first started coding, but you have this code and it will traditionally be the string of whatever the key that you pressed is. But I like to go with the key code. And that's because this is the ASCII code, I'm pretty sure. And so like if we check 32, end of medium, okay, oh, sorry, substitute. So yeah, this is like a sub, which could be a lot of different things. I think that's because it depends on the keyboard that you're using. But you can really use any of these. I'm just going to use the 32 because I want to. And so what we can do is we can do if e dot key, oh no, what was that? Man, now I forgot what I told you guys I was going to use. Key code. So we do key code equals 32. Let's do console.log. Awesome job. Else you suck. All right. So if I press space, I get awesome job. If I press any other key, I get you suck. All right. So that is working as expected. One of the cool things, let's see where we're at here. 14. All right. We should be able to finish this up. All right. So a cool thing you can do with JavaScript is called destructuring. And so if I know what I'm going to grab down here, so I know I'm going to grab key code, I can just put curly brackets and then whatever the thing is that I'm going to get from that object, right? So let's actually put this back and we'll do so we have all these attributes here. If you know which one you're going to grab, so like in our instance, we did key code. What was the other one? Code. Okay, so if we know what we're going to get, we can literally just do parens and then whatever that key is for that object, because these are all just really objects. So, and now this is going to break, but we now have access to key code without having to do e dot key code. And then you'll see here, we get 32, and then that works. Also, if we wanted to use like the string, we could just do code, and then this will break, but the if will break, but we'll see that we get that space, right? So that's kind of a cool little trick with that. So again, I'm going to use key code, which is fine. And what we want to do is only if it's the spacebar. So if key code equals 32, what we want to do is we want to check the time between when we clicked this button and the time when green is lit. So what's going to happen here is we click the start button. We're going to do start yellow timer. Start yellow timer is going to happen. We're going to create a random number between 0 and 3 seconds. Then we're going to set a timeout. So we're going to wait for whatever this random time is. Then we're going to illuminate the yellow, letting them know that it's almost time to race. Then we're going to also call the start green timer, because that's the only time we want that green timer to start counting is after the yellow has already been done. So we're going to come into this green timer. We are going to do the same thing. We're going to create a random time between 0 and 3 seconds. And exactly the same thing. We're going to call this, well, almost exactly the same thing. We are going to call this date.now with this time when green is lit. And then we're going to change the green to white, or to be fully illuminated. And that's going to kind of be it for now. So that's all we really care about. And now we are going to want to worry about when we press a key. So if we press a key and it's a space bar, what we can do is we can do, let's see, time spent. And then that should be time when green is lit. And remember, I'm putting it in parentheses because we want this to run first. And here we actually want, we'll just do reaction time. And it'll be date.now. And we actually, I was wrong about this. We don't need this one. All right, so that will be when you click it. And actually we want to do, it the other way. If you guys hear those dogs in the background, I'm sorry. I'm watching my buddy's pups, and sometimes they go nuts. All right, and we'll do 1,000. And then we can alert and say, you took... Yeah, we just add it. You took reaction time seconds to react. And let's see if this works. All right, so we're going to do this. And key code is not defined. Not sure why. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we got that. We got yellow. We have green. And then we press that. You took... Holy crap, that was a lot of seconds. That is not correct. Oh, it's because I did reaction time, not time spent. All right. Oh, whoa, what happened there? All right, so let's try this again. And I'm specifically taking my time hitting it for the green. 1, we got 2, we got that. And we took less than a second to do it. So I think that was pretty good. Let's try it again. And let's purposely wait. 1, 2, 3. And we took 2 seconds. So that does seem like it's running a little early. So let's actually move this guy down there. Again, I don't know the time difference between how quickly this runs. So 1, 2, 3. This seems a little more likely. So I think at the immediate moment, again, we're getting about 20 minutes long, so I do want to close it down. But I mean, at the immediate moment, we do have a pretty basic working, Christmas tree for the drag strip. Now we're not handling if you hit spacebar before the green is illuminated, and those times seem a little weird, but what we can do is in the next video, we'll kind of go into a deeper dive into kind of how to implement that stuff. And then that will be kind of the next version of this video. So as always, if you guys have questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Welcome back to Boomer's Playground. And this is going to be the fourth and probably the final iteration of this. And there's two main things that we need to resolve. And the first one is going to be what happens if we click the space button or whatever button you chose before the green light is illuminated. And also, like we've finished this quote unquote race, but if I hit start race, it doesn't reset itself. So those are the two main things. And I'd also like to add like a paragraph tag. So right now, we're just alerting it, which is fine. Like that, but I would prefer to take this and maybe put it in like a P tag and maybe print it out to the screen and maybe even come up with some arbitrary, times that maybe the whole background will turn different colors or maybe a different image or something stupid like that. But the first thing I want to do is let's get this red happening. And so let's see what happens if you click on, all right, so see I clicked the space bar before the green light was illuminated, and you'll see it still kind of works. We get you took nan or not a number seconds to react. And so let's go into the code and let's see why that is. So what's happening here is we have our time when green is lit. And so, we click start. This runs, we create our random time from 0 to 3 seconds. And then after that allotted time, we illuminate the yellow light, and then we start the green timer. And then we come in here, we create our random time, and then we wait again. Now, what happens is if we click on the space key, which the space key is completely independent of the other two functions. We can press the space key anytime we want, even without hitting, the start game, right? So we can just keep on doing this. And because the green has eventually illuminated, we can just keep on doing this. It'll keep on being longer and longer and longer. So this chunk of code down here does not, it does care, but we can do it even without these things. So what I would like to do is I shouldn't say that. So what happens then is, let's say we get 3 seconds for this green timer. So we're waiting 3 seconds. If we click the space button before we have a time when green is lit, we're gonna come down here still. This is gonna run, and we're gonna have whatever our actual time is, I actually don't think either of these will be a number. But what ends up happening is one or both of these will not be a number. So this subtraction will not be a number. And so when we try and divide it by 1,000, you can't divide not a number by anything because as it's named, it's just not a number. So let's actually see what we get. I actually don't know. Time when green is lit and reaction time. All right. Okay, so there we got 2 times. I should have done it before the green was there. And actually, let's just refresh it. Okay, cool. So what you'll see here is we get undefined and reaction time. We still get something because, again, all we're using is date.now. And so date.now will always give us something. But because this set timeout hasn't run yet, or the function inside of it has not executed, we don't have a time when green is lit. And so you'll see we can do let's just do, we do that. And so A is this random time. And then let's do undefined divided by A. And you'll see we get not a number. And let's set that to something else. And then we can do B. And so we're getting not a number. So that's why we're seeing this NaN, not a number. It's a type in JavaScript. I would suggest you go over the section in whatever course you're taking about that. It's pretty straightforward, but does have a couple gotchas, but I'm not going to be able to explain those well enough. I would stick to the book or course that you are currently taking. So I think this is a pretty easy fix here. So we know that if we click it before we have this time when green is lit, we know that's bad. And we know we want to illuminate the red. And what actually, and we might do a final video where we kind of clean this up, because there are a couple areas that this app is small enough that nothing will ever become of it. But I think they're good practices to have nonetheless. So, all right. Okay, so we come in here. So if we hit key code, and what we can do is we can do if the key code is space, and then we can come down here and we could also check if time when green is lit, and then we can do this. And so this will, what'll happen is when we hit the space bar, this if will be true, or if, when we hit any key, this add event listener will fire. If it's the space bar, this will be true. If we have a time for time when green is lit, which we won't have a time until the green circle is actually lit, check in here. So if this is not true, you know, we could just do style dot red circle dot style dot opacity equals 1, and we should see, yeah, so I didn't even hit the start button, but yeah, I hit the space bar, and you'll see now we don't, and unfortunately nothing here happens. There's a lot of edge cases we could account for, but let's just assume the person is going to do it right. So we do start, and we do that, and then we actually should do, we'll do that, and then let's alert them, and we'll say, you went before the green light was illuminated. And you'll see that. And I wanted to add that because before the red light illuminated, but the alert, there was no alert because we didn't really have one. And then we'll see here, and then the green will eventually, yeah. And so that will happen still. And so that's kind of a weird little edge case that we can kind of work on. And maybe that'll be part of the cleaning it up in the video after this. Okay, cool. So we have this. But one thing that we can do, well, actually that's, yeah. So if it's key code, so we could do and time when this, and then we could just do like another else here. But then what's going to happen is any key that you press will make the else command run, because we're checking if it's key code. So I normally don't like to, you know, if you have a check here and then you have another if check immediately, a lot of times I like to put these in the same line. But in this case, because we're looking for a specific key to be pressed, I think this might be the best route. All right, so okay, cool. So we're kind of handling the red now. So you left before the green light was illuminated. Illuminated. All right, so what would be the next one? So the next one will be if we start button, add event listener. All right. And so this is where us having like kind of all these global variables up here is kind of going to mess with us a little bit. So a lot of times what I like to do is I like to just have like a game object. And so what I'll do is I'll just do like a game. Doesn't take anything. And then pretty much the game object controls everything. And then this does make it a lot easier to kind of reset like what we're talking about now. And so like before every game, what we can do is we can come in here. And this would be another time when drawing all the JavaScript or drawing all the HTML with your JavaScript would be kind of a benefit. But nonetheless, the first thing we can do is before every time we call game, let's do this, and we'll do, I'm going to create is game playing. We're going to start it as false. The reason I'm doing this is I don't want us to be able to click the start button and just have it like run a bunch of times and kind of get messed up. So let's do this. So const is game playing. And we can come down in here. And when we click, we can run the game function. And then we can even do this is if is game if if not is game playing, then let's run this. And so what this is saying is hey, if is game playing is false. So if we would have just put it without the bang or the exclamation point in front of it, we're saying if is game playing is a truthy value. And now we are using false up here, and we'll use true as well. But the one thing you have to consider when you're doing something like this, where you're saying, hey, if it's a truthy value, there are many, many truthy values that aren't just true. Any positive number, and actually, I think any number besides 0 is considered truthy. Yeah, so if -1, console log here. So I think the only time, I think 0. Yeah, okay, so 0 is the only non-truthy number. So a negative number is truthy, a positive number is truthy. Any non-empty string is going to be truthy. One thing that gets a lot of people is even an empty array is truthy, which is kind of weird, right? You'd think like, oh, well, there's nothing in it, right? But it's a thing. And that'll be the same with like an object. Good. And then we'll do console.log error. Yeah, so you see an empty array is, which is kind of weird. And then we have like an empty object is good. So there are many, many truthy values, more so than just the true Boolean value. So a lot of times, and even outside of this, a lot of times if you have one thing that could break the project, or maybe, I don't want to say break, but let's say you want to do something if one thing isn't true, but a bunch of other things are true, using this not operator technically is quicker because it checks that first. But so take that for what it's worth. I'm going to add that there so we don't have a bunch of games stacked up on the heap or on the stack. I don't know which one they go to. But then we got to change this a teeny tiny bit. So we go in here, we do this, we play game, and then just right out of the bat, I'm just going to do man. Well, I guess we could just run it 3 times. All right. And here we're just setting the circles back to their default value, and then we're good there. I was trying to think of some way for us to like maybe do this in a slicker way, but for such little code like this, there's not a real huge benefit now. But again, I do now think I'm going to do a 5th video, and we're going to kind of clean this up a little more than it already is. And just kind of some things that I like to do, not to say that that's what everybody should do, but they're just things I've picked up over the 4 years that I've been professionally developing. All right, so we come in here. These are still fine. Everything's good there. All right, and then here's what we're going to want to do is, if one of these 2 things happens, we want to be able to restart the game, right? So right now, let's see if this works. It still should. Oh, what do we got here? Start button is not defined. Oh, yep, okay. All right, so we need to have the start button outside of the game because what we were doing, or what I was doing, is I was adding an event listener to something that hadn't been called yet because it was like kind of a weird edge case, right? I had it in here, but for start button to be available, game had to be called, but game can't be called unless we click on start button. So I was like, yeah, I just needed to move this out. And then we should be fine. And we'll run here. Good, just the favicon. All right, and then that was super duper fast. That's not right. Okay, what is going on here? All right, what's going on? Okay, so come in here. If not, is game playing, which it's false at the beginning. We're going to run game. We're going to come into game, and then all of these guys. Oh, you know what? I think it's because these are inside of another function. When we call that outer function, it also runs every function inside. So let's just do a couple console logs to see if that's true or not. Oh, actually, maybe it's this. Maybe it's because we have this key down in there, and maybe that ran right away. Okay. Oh, crap. Okay. Yep, you guys were probably yelling at me. You guys probably saw that. It's because I had 2 instead of 0.2. All right, so let's try this again. And so, I don't know if you guys noticed that. I put a console log here, console log there, because I thought these were running. We looked, I didn't see any console logs, so now I'm just like, okay, weird. That wasn't the reason, and I just worked my way up, and I saw my mistake right there. And that's another one of those reasons why I like to incrementally test things. It may seem kind of pedantic, and it may seem like, wow, you're, every little step. But that's just what works for me. I have a couple people at work that they can just envision this stuff from start to finish. I'm not that person. I'm not a developer by gift. I'm a developer by hard work. Yeah. My mind just doesn't think that way. Okay. So that should be good. And let's check it. Okay. And I already know what's going on here. So before, when we clicked this, we were running the start yellow timer. But now all we're doing is just running this game, but nothing inside of it is running. So what we can do is, at the end of the function, this way we make sure everything else has kind of been instantiated. We can just run start yellow timer, and then this should work. Or maybe not. Start yellow timer. Okay. Oh, what the heck? There we go. Okay, cool. So it's just running forever, but you'll see every time I hit space, we get time when green is lit, and I already know what the problem with that is once again, we have this time when green is lit inside of this game function, but we're trying to get access to it here outside of that game function in this event listener for the document. So, and these are things, do not think, when you see me with this and I'm like, oh, I know what the problem is, don't be like, oh my gosh, he's so smart. This is just because I've made these mistakes thousands upon thousands upon thousands of times. You will as well. This is also why I'm so, I don't want to say strict, but I push people to start building projects so soon. We would have never gotten that error if this was a paid video course, right? Like, I would have cleaned that up, or the person doing the video would have cleaned that up, which is fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But these are the things that really kind of teach you that core language. All right, so let's check this out. We're good. Okay, and so it looks like okay, cool, we're working there. Let's see if by pressing the start button, if we start fresh again. Okay, awesome. And we do. So that's really cool. Okay, so let's jump early. Ooh. Okay. So now we have another problem. And again, I know what the issue is, but this is again because I've made this mistake 1 billion times. So I refresh it and I hit it early and you're like, whoa, dude, that should not be right. Well, what's happening is when we click on the space button, we get this reaction time here, and then where's the, oh, here. So time when green is lit gets run anytime the green timer is lit, like it says. But when we refresh, or I shouldn't say refresh, but when we start a new game, that value is still the old value here. So so let's do this. So let's console.log it. All right, so I'm going to refresh the page, and at the beginning, this time when green is lit is going to be undefined. And I'm going to press spacebar, and red circle is not defined. Okay. So these guys are going to have to come up here, which is still fine. This will still work as we kind of expected. Okay, cool. You left before the green light was illuminated, so we'll see. We'll just do red here so we can see time when green is lit. And then here we'll do green, just so we know where these logs are at. All right. So refresh. So we get undefined as expected. So now let's start it. All right, and then we get, oh my gosh. Oh, list. Time when green is lit. All right, try it again. All right, so undefined because this has never been run before. We're running it the first time. It runs through, awesome. And we got another freaking thing. Which is fine, but let's do, okay. Where was that one? Line 28. Oh, time when green is lit. All right. Okay. Start fresh. All right. Undefined because this has technically never run because we refreshed the page. So now we're going to run it. And we get that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh this and I'm going to hit the space button before we get back to this green is lit and where it reassigns this value. So we're going to jump down here and we're going to see what it is. So fresh. All right. And so you'll see we get this timer right here, or actually right there. But the reasoning is as long as the game has run one time and we've let it get to green, this will have ran, setting the time when green is lit up here. And then if we restart the game, we come all the way back up. But time when green is lit has not been redefined because we're calling the game function, which is all of this in here, which has nothing to do with setting and resetting time when green is lit. So what I'll do is we'll just like we did with the opacity here, we'll just set it, and time when green is lit equals undefined. And I'm only doing undefined because, again, if we go too early, we want to yell at them and say, hey, you went before the light was green. So let's see where we're at here. Okay, 24 minutes. Okay, so the last thing I want to do, and I actually will challenge you guys all to, instead of alerting the message, I would like you guys to print it down here. And then I will do just like a super quick video where that's all we do. And then actually, you know what? Yeah, no, screw it. All right, so let's do this. We'll do let message, and we'll just set it to nothing. And then just again up here, we'll just do message, and it will just be an empty string every time we start the game. And then let's see. I think we have the container that we can grab. And actually we'll want to do it in here. So what I'm doing now is I'm grabbing the container that is wrapping all of our game. That way we can append to it. Document query selector. We know we have the container. And then I'm setting this message, which is nothing. And then each iteration of the game, we're going to set it back to nothing. And then down here, what we can do is we can just do, you know, we'll do message equals. And actually, we don't. Yeah, let's do that. Message is going to work because that way, this way it won't continue to add on top of the one that's down there. And maybe that's something we want to do. But for now, I don't think that is. So for me, I'm just going to do this. We'll do message. You took time spent seconds to react. And then what we can do is we can do container.append. And then we'll do this message, which actually that was... crap. Okay, so hold on. Okay, so we may not need this message. Never mind. The reason we're not going to need this message is if we create a new... so this will still be our message. And then we'll just do this. We'll do document.create element. And we'll grab a p tag. And then here we can do p.inner text will equal message, and then we can append message. This should, yeah, I think this might still add on, but that's all right. Maybe there will be a fifth video that has a little more code in it. But again, we just do the same thing here. We'll just do, if that's the case, we'll do that, and we'll say you took off, let's see, we'll delete to, no, delete to that. You took off before the green light was illuminated. Blah, blah, blah. And we should be good there. And let's see what happens. All right, so we get that. Containers not defined. Oh, once again, because I did it in here. So again, I did the container inside of the game object, but I was trying to append to it before the game object had ever been run. So let's try this again. Bam, bam. All right, that worked. You took time spent. So, okay, so that isn't what we wanted. Oh, it's because you gotta do string literals properly. All right. Okay, cool. And you'll see I got 0.3 seconds to react. And, oh, and so yeah, so you'll see they're kind of running on top of each other. That's a whole other thing that we can worry about, but let's make sure doing it early. Yep, you took off before the green light was illuminated. So I'll leave that there. I don't know if you guys can tell, we have a little bit of weirdness with the game running over and over and over again. We will look into that in the next video, and maybe we'll clean some of this stuff up, and I'll show you about how we want to clear the timeouts and stuff like that. So hope you guys learned something today. This one ran a little longer than usual. We got a pretty cool little app working right now. I mean, the previous one was fine as well. We just kind of refactored a little bit and fixed a couple weird bugs. But if you guys have questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace. Welcome back to Boomer's Playground, and this will be the final video for our reaction timer app. We have a couple weird things going on. With our p tag, it's just concatenating, so we're going to want to do something with either replacing it or even, you know, maybe doing it line by line. I think we'll just replace it. And then also we have to handle these set timeouts when we may click the button beforehand. So with, so I guess actually, so the first thing I want to do is, let's just do this. And we can even do, we'll just do a message. This way we can just keep rewriting to this paragraph tag. So that way we don't have line after line after line. And then we can just do like a, mark the top of, we'll just do like 40 pixels. And let's see what that looks like. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, so let's get rid of all these guys. All right, and so now down here, what we can do is we can actually just yeah, I'm just gonna grab it in here. So in here we'll grab the message, and that will equal document.querySelector, and we'll do class of message. And the reason I'm doing it is in here is I do want it to be new each time. And if I were to put it up here, we could probably still accomplish that, but it'd be a little more difficult because this only gets reset if we reset it or if the page is refreshed. So I'm just going to do it down here because it just seems like a better idea. And let's just do, so it's nice from here is we can just do message.text inner text. And then we can set that to, we'll just grab all these guys. Then we'll do, and then we should, and what's nice about this is we should get the same result. So it did cut the codes line down a little bit, and then let's see, message dot inner text, and let's see if that's working. All right, inner text is not a function. Okay. All right, so the class name is message, right? All right. So when you see something like this and it's saying inner text is not a function, that usually means we're not getting the right value for message. I wonder if we can just do, actually, is that true? Let's see. Okay, so yeah, so inner text is a thing. Document query selector, we're grabbing the message. Let's make sure we're getting what we think we are. Okay, so we are getting that. So why is this inner text? Okay. So we have message there. We're still within that. So we should still have access to it. Not sure why. I'm sure you guys know what it is and you're yelling at me right now. Okay, so we do get that. We do have an inner text on it. And if we don't, and if we type in there, all right, well, let's try text content, I think is another one. Oh, you know what? It's because I'm an idiot. Wow. So I didn't have an equal sign right there. So I was literally just saying this. That was the issue. All right. Okay, cool. So that looks good. So let's start it. All right, and then set again, but then you notice the green and yellow still happen. So what we really want to do, all right, so that was good. But then it refreshed. So what happens with set timeout is this is going to run regardless to when we click the spacebar. As long as we click this start the race button, this game function gets called. And all of this happens regardless to what we do. And then outside of that is when we kind of decide like, oh, hey, did you click the spacebar too early? Did you click it quick enough? And we kind of do the math. So when you do a set timeout or a set interval, and this is usually more important for set intervals because a set interval is something that runs over and over and over again on a set amount of time. So it's the same syntax. And we'll just do a second there, and then we could just do like console log racing. And so what's going to happen is racing, and every second it's going to do the same thing. And you can see here it's 4, 5, so on, so on. But the interesting thing here is we get 40. And you guys might be thinking, well, what the heck is 40? That's got nothing to do with our code. Well, when you do set interval, or if you do set timeout, it returns an ID for that timeout or that interval. And so what we can do with that is we can save that ID, and then there is a clear timeout and there is a clear interval, which again, you'll see this more often with the interval, but this is really just like kind of housekeeping, right? You want to clean these things up regardless. So like for instance, you know, when you go too early, all the lights light up. It like kind of almost breaks the system. It's just like, hey, whoa, what the heck, you suck. And then that kind of resolves our issue of it like refreshing. But that's kind of like a little hacky way to do that. And so, well, that's also only if we do it too early, but that's okay. So what we really want to do is we want to save the timeout IDs for both the green timer and the yellow timer. And we're going to have to do these outside as well, because we're going to want to have access to them in this key handler, this event listener. So here we'll do yellow timeout, and then we'll do green timeout. All right, and then in here, what we'll do is we can just do let. We need to make sure to do, I should bring that up too. We have this yellow timeout out here, and same with the time when green is lit. If we were to put let yellow timeout here, this is going to create a new function that is scoped to this, a new variable that is scoped to this function only. And we don't want to do that. We want access to the one out here. So we need to make sure not to use let. And so I'm going to set it equal to 0 each time, because the set timeout or the set interval will give you a non-negative number greater than 0, but will never be 0. So we don't have to worry about, you know, like we probably could do 1, but there is a chance that that could possibly be the timeout of one of these things. And so all you have to do is we just do yellow timeout is equal to that. And we'll do green timeout is equal to that. And then when we get into here, we can do clear timeout, yellow timeout, yellow timeout. And we can do the same thing for the green timeout. And then we will want to do the same thing down here. And so what this is going to do is we probably don't need to do these, but again, this is just kind of housekeeping, kind of cleaning up stuff on the stack or the heap or in memory. But down here is where we really, really want to do it, because when we click beforehand, we don't want the timeout to keep running. We just want it to be done. And so by doing this, we now have the timeouts for both of these. I'll just do and then you'll see, well, here we won't have anything because it never ran. But let's say it runs and then we do this. you'll see we get 30 and 31. So those just happen to be, the numbers that they gave. Okay, so it looked like, okay, so we got that. Again, that's just kind of general house cleaning. It still doesn't seem like it fixed our problem with if we go too early. See how it just automatically restarts? So let's think about this. So, all right, so we click the button, we come in here, this runs, and then we click space, and then it comes down here. We check, is it this? Yes. Is time when green is lit? There wasn't, so we're going to break down here. We're going to turn them all illuminating. We're going to do all this, and then I think what we probably want to do is game playing equals true. That way we can't keep clicking that button, and hopefully this should help with our... Oh, yeah, so we have it as a const up here. Const are constants, so you can't reassign them, so that was my mistake. Okay, cool. So you'll see here, we did it too early. It tells us that, and we're done. And then let's make sure it's still... Okay, so now you'll notice that didn't work. And the reason for that is we now have is game playing to true. So we click that. It comes in here. It says if not is game playing. So it's if is game playing is not true. Run that. Well, at this point, it isn't. It is true. So this will never, this statement or this check will never be a truthy check. So we won't run that. So what we need to do is down here, we need to set the, and actually we can even do... Down here, we'll just do is game playing equal to false. And the reason I did it out here is we could have done it in each if or else statement, but we're going to set this back to false regardless. As long as we hit space, we don't care if you hit it early or, in the time that we wanted, we will still want to set that equal to false eventually. So, okay. Oh. Okay, so why is it Oh, interesting. Okay. Huh. So let's think. All right. So we're doing that. Oh, okay. I see why. So we're coming in here, and I'm hitting yellow. Oh no, that wouldn't be it either, would it? Okay, so that does keep getting run for some reason. All right, so if is game playing, so we're gonna set that equal to true. And then maybe if is game playing? Not sure if it's something with that. No, that wasn't it either. All right. So we run it once we come in here. We hit space. Blah, blah, blah. If time was green, okay. We set this, we do the message, we clear out the timers. It's really down here. We're gonna make them all illuminated, clear out the timers or the set timeouts, and then set the message. Wonder why it keeps replaying. Huh. That's really weird. So his game, we'll set up to 2. We'll set that timeout to 0. Set that back to undefined. Then we have start yellow timer. Blah, blah, blah. And start green. then we should be done. Right? Is game playing? Oh, sounds good. Okay, so it's just always true for some reason. Oh, because, well, again, the game object shouldn't be getting called each time. Let's do... I doubt this is it, but I wonder... Oh, I know what's happening. Okay. Okay. So I think what's happening is I'm clicking on this start erase, and then when I hit the space bar, it's doing what we want, but it's also clicking that button again. So if I do this and then I click off, and now do that, we'll see it stopped. Click this, clicked off. Sorry, I'm trying to get it so it doesn't click there, click off. Okay, and so, okay. Oh, interesting. Oh, crap. Oh, man. So how are we going to fix that? That's an interesting one. Let's see where we're at. 17. See, this is why I like to do these live, because I'm just like, that's so crazy to me. You know what? I'm going to do this. We're going to make... Yeah, let's do this. I'm trying to make it so it's like a button that says go, but then when you click it, it will erase and it'll show us our message. So let's actually do... Let's just give it a class of go. Click to launch. And then we can do... I guess we'll just leave it like that for now. All right. And we'll do... launch button. And actually, yeah, this... Okay. So we'll do const launch button is going to equal document dot query selector launch. Is that what I named it? Oh, bless me. Sorry if I sneezed right into the microphone. Yeah, so I did do go, but let's just make this launch. So we can do this, and then here we can do let's do click. We'll change this to launch button. We don't have any parameter anymore. And then here we'll do that. And yeah, let's just do, let's just bring this button out of here. Oh. Yeah, let's give it a little bit of styling. We'll do launch. We'll just do a margin top of 20 pixels. I And then what you could kind of do to make this a little more like appealing is we could get like a gas pedal or maybe like a nitrous button. And on line 62, what did I mess up? Oh. We still have the start button there. Line 62 missing a... Those are all good. That looks good. All right, I'm just gonna... Okay, cool. So this is, we're back to here. Oh, that's probably what happened right there. Okay, so we're here. Let's make sure this works. Okay, cool. So that one's still working. So now we can change this one to be launch button. We can grab the launch button here. And then we don't care about, oh, I bet you that's where the issue was, is I probably forgot to do that right there. All right, so here now we're doing launch button. We don't want key down, we want click, and all the code should remain the same. All right, and we did it too early and it still works. We'll refresh. And 0.354 seconds. So I'd say that's working well. I just wanted to check that we did it wrong first and then we did it correct the second time because I wanted to make sure that those timeouts were not still hanging around. So I think this will be it. I think I'm going to leave it at this. This will be the final video. Feel free to take this, add on to it, do different fun things, add backgrounds, maybe make it, you know, different depending on, like, pick some arbitrary amount of time, and if they get it under there, there's like a win screen or a lose screen, or like just change the color of the background, maybe even an image. But I hope you guys learned something. I really liked doing this one because the idea seemed really basic, and I think we're going to be 5 videos deep at 20 minutes of video. So, I mean, we're almost 2 hours in building something like this. And I say that, but I want you guys to know that just because I did it in 2 hours doesn't mean everybody else should do it in 2 hours. I'm sure there are people who do it a lot faster than this, and that's fine. The whole thing I wanted to show was it's not easy even for somebody who's been developing, you know, quote unquote professionally for 4 years. You know, I still hit a bunch of roadblocks, right? It still took me a second to get it set up. I found a couple bugs here or there. And we kind of had to work through those. And that's really what I'm trying to show with these videos is, you know, a lot of the guys that I watch, I get great content from them, but it's, you know, it's I don't want to say fixed, but it's like edited. And I understand why, right? They don't want you to be around for all the errors, and that's fine. But I want you guys to see that people still get errors even after they've been on the job for a little bit. So, please adjust this. Make changes, share your code pens in the comment section, share, you know, GitHub pages. Maybe you have it on Netlify, whatever you guys have it on, share that with us and show us what you did, make it your own. And again, this isn't going to get you a job at Google, but you know, you clean this up a little bit. This would be an okay, you know, project on your portfolio, right? Like you're showing you understand, you know, set time out. You're showing, you know, how to, you know, break down some things. Like we could even take these 2 functions here, start yellow timer and start green timer. We could make them one generic timer and then just pass in a color. And then we could run these based on whatever the parameter that was passed in was. So maybe look into that. They're only 2 functions, so I'm not going to spend a whole nother 10, 15 minutes on a video for that. But again, as always, if you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.